that's the trail that I just walked up. And first view of the day. I'm on top of Tar Jacket Ridge. It's just beautiful. It's like so many layers of mountains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mountains and valleys that you can see going across there. Just Virginia is so beautiful. Okay, I'm only about a mile in. I won't stay up here too long, but just wanted to show you this. So I'm only about a mile into the hike today. It's about 9, a little after 9. And I'm really not sure where I'm gonna stop today. I think today is gonna be one of those days where I'm just gonna hike, and when it's time to stop, I'll stop. There's a couple of things up ahead. There's a nice view about at the 10-mile mark. It's a little off the trail. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna at least go see the view. I'm not sure if that's gonna be too early to stop or not. And there's a shelter about 14 miles away. Maybe that, I don't know. Or maybe somewhere in between, I don't know. But so far so good today. Weather is really good. I think it's 50 degrees out now, which is just perfect for hiking. Trail's pretty good, not too rocky, not too rooty. So we'll see where I end up. Okay, catch you guys down the trail. About 5 miles into the trip so far. Got about another 5 miles to go before I get to this feature called Spy Rock. And the weather's still great. The wind's kind of picking up, and it's still pretty cool out. It's perfect for hiking, but if you stop, it gets a little cool. So I'm just gonna keep moving. Okay, see you guys a little down the trail. So I'm gonna stop here just a minute. You gotta keep your eye on water sources. And this is not the last water source before I go up to the next top, but this is the next to the last. I'm gonna go ahead and take it just because the last water source is like a quarter of a mile off the trail. But if I fill up here, that's gonna save me, you know, a quarter of a mile off and a quarter of a mile back. So not the best of source here, but I'm gonna take it. So I'm gonna go ahead and just have a break, drink as much water as I can, and fill up whatever's empty. All right, had a nice snack. My water bottles are full. Pack weighs a little bit more than it did before. And I'm about 7 miles into the hike. Got about 3 miles to go to Spy Rock. Okay, catch you guys later. All right, so I'm at the next water source, and it's down by the shelter, which is, you know, down that path, about a quarter of a mile. Okay, getting closer. And the weather's still really good. I have not seen anybody on the trail today. I am hiking north, so typically most people are hiking north, so unless you're right there beside them, you don't see them. But it feels a little lonely on the trail. I'm pretty sure somebody will either be up at Spy Rock or at the shelter. But yeah, the hike's going along good. Trail's nice, weather's good, and pack is heavy. I just ran into the volunteer that's up here cleaning up the trail. He's got his weed eater or edger up here and cleaning off beside each side of the trail. I asked him how many times a season he does it, and he said he's up here 3 times a season, and he does it to help keep the ticks at bay. So super thankful for the volunteers to help maintain the trail, and hopefully no ticks today. A little bit, but I'm on top of Spy Rock and just came up the trail in that way and have 360-degree views. Absolutely gorgeous. All the way back down to where they came from. Just beautiful. Definitely worth the 0.2 side trail to get up here. I have no idea how far we can see. It's miles and miles, but just beautiful. Just absolutely beautiful. Hey everybody, I'm still on top of Spy Rock, and I came off the summit just a little bit to get out of the wind, but the views are still just amazing up here. I wanted to take a few minutes just to talk about what I've been thinking about all day. And today is Father's Day, and I've been thinking about my dad all day long. And just wanted to share a little bit about him. And he was just an amazing person. He, hands down, the most influential person in my life. And he really helped me form how I see people and how I see situations and how I really view the world. And you know, his character and his moral and ethical code was just unshakable. I think if I had to pick one word to describe him, I would say he was a gentleman. He was kind and compassionate, and just always wanting and willing to help others. Just an amazing person, really. I had a lot of thoughts today, and not sure what's going to come out, but really the things that I was thinking most about is how he was always present and how he wanted to be part of our lives. And things like when I got home from school, he'd be sitting at the kitchen table, you know, how was algebra or how was science or chemistry? And he really did want to talk about those things. So in my house, we had a little bit of a role reversal. My mom was a nurse that worked nights, and that was really tough. So all those parents that are working nights, you know, hats off to you. I worked nights for years and years when my kids were young, and that was really tough. But that left my dad at home. He became the caretaker, and he was in the Navy in the 50s and moved over to the Air Force. And when he came home, he ended up going to Auburn University and became an engineer. But shortly after, in the 70s, he had a major health event, a massive heart attack, and became disabled because of it. And so he became the caretaker for the house. And so he did the things like sat at the table and waited for the kids to come home to talk about science. And, you know, he was always pushing us to think. You know, even just when we were little, he would create scenarios like, you have 3 different colored socks in your top drawer, and you need to get a pair of socks out. You walk in the room, but there's no light. How many socks do you have to get out so you know you have a matching pair? And I'm thinking, Dad, I'm 5. I wasn't really 5, but I'm just thinking, why are you coming up with these scenarios? But he was trying to get us to think. You know, he did some things like, and I'm not kidding about this number. He one time brought home 200 lawnmowers, like legitimate lawnmowers. Some of them were the lawnmowers you push that has just the blade in the front and a wheel that turns. And others were the kind that you can engage and it'll pull itself.
But yeah, he somehow, I don't know where, but he found 200 pieces of lawnmowers and brought them home and thought it would be fun for us to play around with and teach ourselves like small engine repair, uh, you know, which was kind of cool. I think out of the 200 lawnmowers, we were able to piece together and get like 5 working or something, but things like that were kind of cool. And, you know, I never really remember him saying no. He was always saying, yeah, you can do that. And not like I was asking to do crazy things. I was, you know, can I bush hog the field, or can I, you know, just things like that. But he was always, yeah. So he was always encouraging us to go out and explore. But yeah, I think that's the thing that I remember most, is how much he wanted to be part of our lives. Oh my gosh. Ugh. He would show up at school to eat lunch with me like all the time. And I mean, like, I was in high school and he was showing up to eat lunch with me. I mean, all my friends loved it, but like, I was so mortified at the time. Oh, shame on me. But yeah, and you know, being retired and disabled, he had a lot of time on his hand, and he would ride around Greenville. He would go see Mr. Ed Teague owned a gas station in Greenville, and he would go see him every morning and visit with Mr. Ed, and then he'd hop over to Hardee's right after breakfast was over to see if he can get some free biscuits and read the newspaper. And yeah, he had quite the routine for sure. But yeah, a lot of nice memories like that. Always teasing, and his jokes were the kind that took days to roll out, which was kind of nice. But he was always teasing and had a nice sense of humor, and he was almost like a devilish little boy. You could see that in his face a lot. Yeah, humming tunes. I remember him humming tunes, picking at Mom. But he would sing these little songs to us. But he did it in front of Mom, so just to get to her. But he would sing, I wish I had a nickel, I wish I had a dime, I wish I had a tea cake as big as your behind. Oh, my mom would be, Don, stop. Oh, yeah. I miss him. He's a good man, great dad, and just the epitome of what a dad should be. So, all right. I'm sure I'm going to think of a million things I didn't say. I'll probably pop back in and share a few of them. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about my dad and how much, you know, he was a great dad, and I really do miss him for sure. Hard to think. He passed away. He had a heart transplant when I was 16. He passed away. He survived for years, and he passed away in the 90s, and I think he was in his early 60s. Way too young to die. But it's hard to think he would be in his 90s now, because he's kind of frozen in time for me. So, great dad, the yes sayer in the house, and a little bit of a troublemaker too, but always up for a little adventure. So, all right, I'm going to get down this mountain. I'm sure I'm going to have other stories, and I'll pop back on and share a few quick ones. But happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, and I'll catch up with you guys later. Bye-bye.
Okay, been straight uphill, really, since Spy Rock, and I got about a mile to go, and I just made it to George Washington National Forest. I'm entering the Priest Wilderness. George Washington National Forest. Okay, I got about a mile to go. It's pretty much up. And Yeah. Pretty sure I'm gonna stop at the shelter there and set up camp there. We'll see. We'll see what it is when I get there. All right, see you guys in a bit. All right, almost to the top of this hill. It was a rough one, and but on the way up, I was just thinking about Dad and a few other things, and he definitely instilled my love for science fiction and you know, just thinking about the universe and other possibilities out there. And but I remember watching every one of the Star Treks with him. I mean, like James T. Kirk Star Trek, like Trouble with Tribble Star Trek, the original one. And that was so much fun. And we didn't go to the movies a lot. As a matter of fact, I can only remember twice going to the movies as a kid. And one of them, my Aunt Jane took me to see The Jungle Book. But the very first movie I ever saw in a theater was the original Star Wars. And I just remember the line being out the door. Dad drove us up to Montgomery, and we waited and waited and waited. And oh my, it was just mesmerizing sitting in that seat and watching those words scroll up. And I couldn't read it, but I just remember being mesmerized by that. A little later, Dad bought, like I said, he was always finding things and bringing it home. He brought home this projector and a 7-foot screen. Now the projector at the time, this was not a little thing. This thing sat in the middle of the room. It was about 3 feet tall and 3 feet long and about 2 feet wide. And on the front of it, there were 3 lights that came out, red, blue, and green, the primary colors. And it would project, you know, images on the screen. Well, we didn't have cable or anything like that. Later, we did have a big satellite dish, but he bought, I think they were called laser disc. I can't remember, but it was almost like a huge CD. It was before videotapes came out, I think. There was this weird period of time. It looked like a CD or a floppy disk, but it was about 1 foot long and 1 foot wide. It was huge. And we had one movie, and it was The Wrath of Khan. And I think I watched that thing 100 times. But yeah, he definitely instilled my love for science fiction and thinking about the universe in different ways, for sure. Yeah, a lot of nice memories. All right, I'll see you guys on the top. All right, just popped off the trail that way, and I am at Priest Mountain Shelter in the George Washington National Forest. I'm on top of Priest Mountain, and I think it's named that because when you look at it from afar, it looks like a priest kneeling. I haven't seen it from a distance, but I've climbed it, and it's pretty steep. But this is the shelter that has a book in it where hikers confess their sins. And I just opened a couple of pages. I don't think it's anything I should read out loud, but there's consistently people out there that are not digging 6-inch cat holes. And some people are confessing to sleeping with their food. Others are confessing to not filtering water all the time. It's kind of fun to read. A lot of bodily noises, for sure. I don't know what I'm going to confess. I definitely need to confess I slept with my food like on the first or second night out on the trail. Man, I feel so bad about that. And I should probably confess to blowing up my dad's doorbell or something like that. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's a nice shelter, not too bad. I think I'll find a tent site though and just set up my tent just so I can have a little bit of privacy. Yeah, I think I'm going to stay here tonight and go ahead and start making dinner and doing all the things that need to happen. Catch you later. All right, everybody, gonna call it a night. I did make it about 14 miles today. It was a good day for hiking. The weather was good, the trail was good, had some good views in the beginning. Got to see Spy Rock, which was just incredible. And I thought about my dad all day today. So a lot of good memories. He really was just an amazing dad, and I miss him terribly. I wish my kids would have known him better. The older two, you know, he was still alive when the older two were born, but they didn't really have a lot of memories of him. So I guess, you know, the best thing I can do is just pass on pieces of him through the stories that I tell them. So I think they have a sense of who he was. And that's it. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.